Hello everybody, welcome to the first ever... Actually, this is kind of a melancholic soundtrack to start on, so... Keep it on the down low for this video, but this series is all going to be about architecture. I loved SimCity when I was a kid, so discovering the building editor for me was huge in Project Zomboid, so I'm basically going to try to use this in the next couple months, series worth of time, to once a week post everything that I've been working on in the week. Quick disclaimer here, because I'm probably I'm stealing Spazman's work. There's a map maker named Sergeant Spazman, and if I don't give him credit there, then I would totally be saying that this was my building when he totally made up this design. So I went onto the forums and I was just practicing copying off his design to see what it's like. I did add this fire escape though, but yeah, I'll put a link down to his work. He's working on a place called Dawntown, which looks absolutely stunning. It's like an inner city. A lot like Drayton, but it's got a much different feel and it's modernized and updated. I really like the way that he put plants in on the side, and I've been working through my buildings, putting in the outsides first, you know, not doing any of the interiors, just making sure I'm happy with the overall city layout. I think that's the main thing you gotta get right. Once you get the exteriors right, then you can start working on the interiors. Gosh, I'm going through stuff at about 4,000% speed, but I honestly pictured this time going much slower. I started working through one of my office buildings at a hill. I realized that you could make the semblance of hills when I started looking at the work of another modder slash map maker named Atox, who I don't know if he speaks much English. He's Spanish, but I really admire his work. So I've been trying to make a Night of the Living Dead house. And of course, you can't really do much with these hills, so you gotta kind of add in the illusion of the hill. I was trying to add in fences. Here I got a subway going. Once again, just kind of roughly sketching in a lot of my ideas. A lot of these structures kind of lack any robust ending to them, you know. Oh, this structure I actually ended up spending a really long time on. Anyway, oh wait, is this the... Nope, wrong structure. Okay. A lot of the buildings that I made in the last week are kind of based on what I did in real life. So I literally went to a building that looked like this, so I've been combining stuff that I've been seeing in real life, along with what I've been, you know, imagining I would see in the game. There's honestly just so many different worlds that I want to create. Some based on real life, some based on where I've been, some based on movies, some based on what I imagine. But I've found that this is kind of an architectural, kind of problem, because a lot of my stuff doesn't really fit together. This one in particular was a retreat house built in like the 1950s or 1960s in a Catholic church. Just had this like kind of weird Cold War vibe about it, but alright, interesting looking place. The thing is, I had so many just weird ideas. I'm like, I figured they'll fit in somewhere. This one's actually based on a building that overhangs the High Line in New York City. If you've ever walked up there or you're from New York, you might actually recognize this building. It's a hotel. But I spent an exorbitant amount of time on this thing, and I was consulting with Taconis on it. One thing we've actually been trying to do for a lot of these, and maybe you saw the stream midway through the week, we're trying to do a little bit of workshopping. So if any of you guys are into map making, of course you can join us. We're here on Twitch, or on YouTube. I might do it. I don't really know. I just kind of like hanging out with other people who make maps, and it's a different way to work. Speaking of which, we have opened up some workshopping areas on the Discord, so it's not only on the Project Zomboid forums, but now also there. Oh, also, before I forget to mention, yeah, admire my icons for a minute if you haven't already said something. They're kind of embarrassing. I'll try to get rid of those for the next one. Anyway, like I said, some of them are based on real-life locales, some of them are based on stuff that I imagined, so still having trouble kind of fitting everything together. I don't think it really came across in these time lapses, but I didn't spend much time on the world map. I'll try to go back over that at the very end just to show you how the whole thing is turning out. But I'm just kind of getting a layout because ultimately I do want to make this into a big, many-celled size map that I can use on a server or other people can use. A couple problems I had with this whole thing as I went through were that I mean, obviously some of the key controls I don't really know. Like, I don't know how to copy and paste stuff, so I found myself backing up. Eventually, I am going to want to make a lot of these resources available to the whole community. But I couldn't really figure out what to do with them right now. Like, my building designs aren't good enough that I would want to export them yet. And all my room definitions are kind of off too, so I don't want to release an even bigger problem into the community. You know. But, you know, like, we'll figure that out in the future. God, like, I think I did go in pretty hard with the interior on this one. This building I did try to flesh out. I was trying to figure out what its function was as I went. This is very difficult. I started adding all this greenery. I would add and then take away. This is why I don't really like working on the interior and the exterior in one sitting. I've been considering just doing the exterior and then letting other people fill in the details, like a coloring book. It's definitely something I'd consider doing for the Patreon, you know. I mean, though eventually I do want to just open it up because the whole community deserves to be able to use these things. I want them to be interchangeable. I want people to go crazy with their creations. And a lot of you guys have posted artwork and stuff over the last week, which has been incredibly inspiring. You might notice I've been spending almost all my time fiddling around with tiles on the side. It's because when you first start just identifying the furniture and the tiles and making your own furniture sets is probably where the vast majority of your time is going to go when you start using the software. One thing I couldn't figure out how to do was to copy and paste like a whole set of furniture, which was kind of pissing me off. This one I imagined like some sort of sexy restaurant in the top of this place. I eventually got like vines hanging on yeah, there we go. Vines hanging on the walls. Looks good. I like this place. And then I squeezed a kitchen in the back. I would forget that things were supposed to be there that weren't there. Like I said, a lot of architectural decisions, and as a kid I had always wanted to be an architect, but I didn't want to have to do any of the math. I just wanted to do the design, so it's kind of like getting to do the fun part without having to do any of the work. You know, that you realize as you go through this that there are a lot of things that like are always done one way in Project Zomboid, and sometimes it feels a little bit cookie cutter. I mean, obviously that's an overstatement, but to create such a massive game world, it was made for people to go in with their own individual architectural styles. I feel like it's a good thing that I kind of approach each building differently. Though, I mean, I was talking with another map maker about possibly opening it up to, like, each person gets their own cell and you work on a big community map project. A lot of different ideas in here, but it's kind of discussion for later. Oh, here's a good view. Actually, yeah, there we go. World map right here. I spent a good amount of time on it. Nope, not a very good amount of time. I mean, ultimately, I'm just working in one cell, kind of trying to get an idea of how stuff is laying out. Not all these buildings in here are mine, though, either. Some of them are other people's. This is another building I did based on real life. I spent a long time in the interface menus trying to get ready some templates, because I figure if I'm spending a few weeks on this right now, in the future I'll probably be able to make tens of buildings really quickly. And I mean, for all the really unique buildings you make, you gotta have a few generic ones in there, otherwise the whole world will feel just too differentiated, messed up. So I built some shitty apartment building in my neighborhood. Oh man, I remember I used to work at a place like this. It was such a gross building. I had to sit across from this shit all day. It was horrible. Oh man. But I mean, you know, like, you use things in ways that they weren't really originally used. Like, I can't think of any urban areas with balconies, though people use balconies like crazy when they're modding maps. There were a couple other things that I found were kind of strange, like some of those trimmings were industrial trimmings, so I'll be putting in, yeah, see those question marks? I put in doors and there's actually no place where that happens in the game. I thought I had loaded in tile sets, but fortunately I had Spazman there helping me to figure out that I was wrong about that. I also made a lot of the interiors more cramped than I could have. Okay, if you see that right there, that's a boardwalk. I just want to mention that for later because I still hadn't lined up my lines. Yeah, there I go, lining up my lines. That's so satisfying. Great job, Rob. Anyway, at the very end, I decided it would be a good idea to just put in some flat laying out structures because it was all grass and trees on the ground. Obviously, that's not my final terrain decision, but I wanted to make like an army barracks, largely based on Atox's work from Erie County, which is really one of my favorite map projects because it looks a lot like the Romero Night of the Living Dead stuff. So I just went crazy making this infirmary that looked like it was just barely set up by the government, like some walls haphazard put together. Though you gotta find ways to make variations on these things, otherwise you just get cookie cutter cutouts. I guess you could put them on the edges of a map, but if everybody put their heads together, it would be great. I spent so much time looking for that furniture, but I think it came out okay. I wanted it to look overcrowded, and I'm ashamed to say that I started looking up some pictures of what it was like in the Holocaust when they were cramming people in. How did they like go through them with camps? Because I figured in such an incident, you know, that might be the layout. Really just, I wanted it to smack of like hopelessness and the end of the world. It was an absolutely terrifying experience to make. Here I did some wheat fields. You gotta fill it in with generic details, and then I redid it with a fence. Just, I wanted to make that strange Americana that is in projects. Oh, that was so satisfying to see. The wheat going down. There's like this strange Americana vibe going throughout Project Zomboid I really want to capture. And I feel like they did it partway in the main game, but I feel like the whole tile set could really be reimagined. That, and I'm thinking of adding more. Lastly, I did a parking lot to just see if I could set the infirmaries up in there because they looked completely out of place in the grass. Once again, though, a lot of these cookie cutter decisions like 18 by 30, is that the right size? I'm probably going to need to make a lot of minor adjustments in the end, but anyway, that's my video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you like any of these buildings, you can always take some of them. Eventually, I'll be putting them on Patreon, and then eventually opening up to the rest of the community. Or even better yet, just join us on the forums. We've got a whole group going here. I'm really proud of what we've done, that it's not just playing the game, but now adding to the game, and I think this has inspired a lot of people to take up their own creative projects, which, honestly, nothing could make me happier. I'm a little selfish with it, and I want to see your guys' creations grow. I'm glad that some of the people who were on the forums actually started joining up, because I felt like I was too much of just like a YouTuber Let's Play video maker, but I'm glad that I could at least add something here. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions, obviously the whole thing is still very mishmash right now, but I've got only about 15 buildings to my name, and I'm probably going to need about 100, if not more. I've heard from some of you guys who were working on them originally a while back. Yeah, and I mean, this could be a renaissance for the community if all works out. To my ego. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Check down below in the Discord, because we're going to keep on working on this there. Give the video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Show this to somebody you haven't. Maybe even if they don't like Project Zomboid. I think a lot of this creative work is made by players who don't even play the game, but just enjoy making stuff in general. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Last but not least, before I forget to mention, please, please, please check the description. Not all of these buildings are mine. Some of them I took off the forums. Basically, anything that I don't design in the editor or mention otherwise, a lot of them are taken from other people's work that I've found on the forums. It's either old or it's there. So if you see any of your buildings, please hit me up. I'd really love to get in contact and work together. So I've been just taking a few of those to fill out the city. I hope you don't mind. I put links to everybody else whose work is in there in the description to credit them.